So you've definitely heard the term DevOps, right? It gets thrown around in meetings, you see it all over job descriptions, but what does it actually mean? It's kind of one of those words that feels like it means everything and nothing at the same time. Well, don't worry. In the next few minutes, we're going to cut right through all that noise and make it crystal clear.
All right, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll answer the big question: what even is DevOps? Then, we'll dig into its 3 core principles. After that, we'll take a quick trip through its history, see how it went from just an idea to a full-blown movement. Then we'll get into how you actually measure success. And finally, we'll look at the huge impact it's had on the entire tech world.
Okay, so first things first, what problem was DevOps even created to solve? And what is it really at its core?
At its heart, the definition is hiding right there in the name. It's a mashup of development and operations. It's really a whole set of practices designed to do one thing: drastically shrink the time it takes to get code from a developer's brain out into the world for users, all while keeping the quality super high.
This slide just nails the original problem. Think about the old way of doing things. You had these 2 teams living in completely separate worlds, in silos. The development team, their job was to build cool new features and do it fast. But the operations team, their job was to keep everything stable, to make sure nothing breaks. You see the conflict, right? One team gets rewarded for rapid change, the other gets rewarded for no change. It's a recipe for friction. It's like a giant wall between them. So what DevOps does is it just comes in and smashes that wall down. It creates one team with one shared goal, using automation to get both speed and stability.
I love this phrase, bring the pain forward. It gets to the very soul of the DevOps philosophy. What it means is you find the hardest, most painful parts of making software, like merging everyone's code and testing it all, and you do them as early and as often as you can. So instead of waiting weeks or months to see if all the pieces fit together, you use automation to test things constantly, every single day. You find the bugs and the problems when they're tiny and easy to fix, not at the last minute when everything's on fire.
Okay, so we get the what, but what about the how? How does this actually work in practice? Well, it all really comes down to 3 basic principles. This is the blueprint. It really just boils down to these 3 things. First up, shared ownership. This means developers and operations folks are on the same team from start to finish. There's no more throwing code over the wall for someone else to deal with. Second, workflow automation. You automate everything you possibly can, building the code, testing it, deploying it. Automation is what makes the whole process fast, repeatable, and reliable. And third, and this one is crucial, rapid feedback. You have to know, instantly if a change you just made broke something, and you get that through a ton of automated testing and monitoring. DevOps didn't just pop into existence one day. It has a real history, an evolution that took it from this little grassroots idea to a mainstream practice that's everywhere today. So, this story really gets going back in 2009 in Belgium with the very first DevOps Days conference. A few years later in 2012, we get the first State of DevOps report. This was huge because it started collecting actual data on how these ideas were working in the real world. By 2014, the whole movement was really picking up steam, but the absolute game changer comes in 2016 with the DORA metrics. For the very first time, everyone had a standard, agreed-upon way to measure performance and finally answer the question, hey, is all this DevOps stuff actually working? And that leads us right into measurement. Because you know the saying, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. In the world of DevOps, the absolute gold standard for measuring performance is something called the DORA metrics. These 4 metrics are just brilliant because they perfectly balance speed and stability. The first 2, deployment frequency and lead time, are all about your team's speed. How fast are you getting value out to your customers? But the other 2, change failure rate and recovery time, they measure stability. How reliable is the stuff you're shipping? See, the whole goal of DevOps isn't just to go faster. It's to improve all 4 of these things at the same time. You get faster and more stable. But here's the thing. DevOps was never the finish line. It was more like a catalyst. Its ideas were so powerful that they basically spawned an entire universe of new ways of thinking, each one building on its legacy. You can almost think of it like a family tree. The deep roots of DevOps are in the Agile movement, and from that main trunk, all these other specialized branches have sprouted. You've got SRE, or Site Reliability Engineering, which is basically Google's take on running massive systems using DevOps principles. There's DevSecOps, which weaves security into the mix. There's GitOps, platform engineering. All these disciplines owe their existence to those original DevOps ideas.
Let's just zoom in on one of those branches for a second, DevSecOps. It's all built around this really simple but powerful idea, shift left.
So imagine your project timeline reads from left to right. In the old days, security was this big, scary step at the very end, on the far right. DevSecOps says, no way, that's a terrible idea. You have to shift that concern all the way to the left, to the very beginning of the process. Security becomes everyone's job, every single day, automated right into the workflow.
And another really cool evolution is GitOps. This takes that DevOps idea of automation and marries it with something developers already know and love, version control, like Git. The entire desired state of your system, your apps, your servers, everything is defined as code in a Git repository. That repository becomes the single source of truth. It means every single change to your system is a commit that can be tracked, reviewed, and approved, which makes everything incredibly transparent and reliable.
So when you boil it all down, DevOps is really a cultural shift. It's about breaking down that wall between developers and operations so we can all deliver better software faster. Its principles of shared ownership, automation, and feedback have completely reshaped how we build technology. And that leaves us with one final thought. If this one idea was powerful enough to tear down one of the biggest walls in the entire tech industry, what's the next wall to fall?